Chanel West Coast, out here on the East Coast.
Yep.
Welcome to Hot 97.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Okay, so much is going on in your life.
Yes.
Most important, you're a mom.
Yes, I love it.
Mom life is hard. I'm also
rough.
a new mom. And,
Oh, you are? Nice.
and it's hard.
It's really hard.
What would you say was the most unexpected thing once you became a mom that just, I don't know, surprised you, shocked you, that it was unexpected?
Honestly, the fact that I could still function on such little sleep shocked me because I'm one of those people, I'm about my beauty sleep, you know? I've always had a lot of energy. I'm not like somebody who needs to like sleep in all day, but like when you're waking up 5 times in the night, your sleep isn't the same. And then it's just
not.
like, I've been running on fumes.
Yeah.
like literally.
But you make it look so good.
Thank you. I try. I take a lot of vitamins for the skin.
I'm going to need all the details, because we need all the help possible.
Yeah.
Sleep was really, really one thing I was not ready for that was going to be impacted.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, oh my gosh. You know, it sounds kind of mean, but I tell everyone who doesn't have a kid, like, enjoy this. Enjoy your sleep. Enjoy your quiet time.
Enjoy your time, period. Like I say, before I had a baby, I was one of those people, I was like, there's not enough time in the day. Like that was literally like my favorite thing to say, trying to get stuff done. And I'm like, what was I talking about? I'm like, I had all the time and now I have no time. You know?
I want to talk about your show. Congratulations.
Thank you.
This is big news. The
Yes.
West Coast Hustle, which is on MTV.
Yep.
Okay, we have to talk about some of the things that I saw in it. You're so honest in this show.
Thank you.
Were you nervous to do a reality show?
I was very nervous. It's funny because for years I wanted my own show. When I was younger, though, you know what I mean? We all mature, and then I had finally got to the point where I was like, actually, I kind of like my privacy. And then all of a sudden, MTV wants to give me a show. I'm like, the world just works like that, you know? So I was really hesitant going into it because, you know, I want to protect my child, also my boyfriend. You know, he's such a good guy, and he's a Virgo like me. We're very like, we could be sensitive to certain things, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, it's already, we've got into this relationship so fast. We had a baby so fast. Now he's got to be on TV doing it all.
I know.
And so I had lots of hesitation, and I had to be on TV like mad overweight. I've been on TV like a little twig for my whole life, and now I'm like 50. I was 50 pounds overweight. I got huge from having a baby, and that's why I got lipo. And I was like, we got to hurry up and just get this gone faster. But yeah, it was really nerve-wracking, but also like I know that showing those honest moments inspires people. You know what I mean?
You know what's so interesting? When you talk about getting lipo and your boyfriend Dom's like, you know, you didn't have to. And it was so sweet. He was trying to be so supportive. My heart was so like, because it's like, of course I support you doing whatever you want to do. But in that moment, that was really sweet of him.
Thank you. No, I think he actually was really saying that more because him and I both thought it was not going to be as hard. Like, I think we both were like, oh, I'm going to just come out this place with my fat sucked out. And when he saw the recovery process, and like, he literally had to help me so much. I had to have a home nurse helping me. And I think he was just like, yo, like, we didn't have to do all this. Like, this is a lot of work. I think that's really more how he was saying.
He's like, it's a lot of work on me. On me.
He was like, this is a lot. Why didn't we just like, you know, diet and work out more?
Right. And he's a model, so he's really about that life.
Oh, he really is. He's actually working on a cookbook that's all about like healthy cooking, like ways to make bomb meals. You would never think that there's a way to make healthy. He's working on that. And he's actually helped me a lot. Like, I think he got even more into the healthy diet and lifestyle to help me, truthfully. He was like, okay, let's not be giving her all that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, he's really like my big inspiration with just eating healthy and nutrition and working out. And, you know, when you have a man that looks like that, it's like, you got to stay on top of your shit. You know what I mean?
Wait, does he have an 8-pack, a 16-pack, a 30? Like, what?
I think it's like an 8-pack.
It's an 8. Okay.
Yes.
Listen, that's a lot of hard work.
I know.
It's so much energy. What would you say was the hardest part in your recovery once you got lipo? And was this your first time getting surgery done?
I've never done anything like that. Like the only thing I ever did for like beauty was Botox in my forehead. And that's because I have a very expressive face and I get this like little wrinkle right across. So I only had Botox. Like that's all I was familiar with. And I've never been like a plastic surgery type person, you know. I grew up in LA, and I think maybe just like growing up so much around that stuff, I was like trying to like stay away from it until I was like older or something, you know. So yeah, no, that it was something that I can't even believe I did it, to be honest. I think I was just so desperate to like get back to my original weight that I was like, okay, I got to do what I got to do, you know?
Yeah. But did you feel like that was pressure because you're pursuing your career, you're an artist,
Yeah.
you know, and that's how for many of us knew you
Yeah.
when you first got onto the scene is that you make music.
Thank you.
So did you feel like there was this pressure to try to get it all together before you have your show? I know you took a break from music. I mean, we're
Yeah.
going to unpack that because you talk about it obviously in your show on MTV, but was that because of pressure, do you feel?
So, I mean, so much pressure. Before I had a baby, when I was super skinny, you know, you're performing and there's those moments where you're like bent in a certain dance position and it's like, hold up, like it looks a little crazy, the angle, you know? So even at your skinniest, while you're performing, people can catch you looking crazy and then these pictures come out and people are like, oh my gosh, she looks wild. So that was a big concern of mine. I'm like, okay, I'm about to get back on stage and be performing with all this like extra weight. I mean, you see in the first episode, my boob popped out of my shirt. I was not used to even performing with boobs this big. So I'm like, oh my gosh, like it is a lot of pressure and dancing, singing, rapping, doing a set that long. It takes a lot of breath too. And so it was about just getting back in shape and having the energy to be able to do these performances like I used to be able to do, you know?
Did you have any regrets about the lipo?
I do a little, I'm not gonna lie. Like, cause it messes with your skin a little bit. And so I'm like, yeah, I'm skinny, but like my skin looked way better before. I'm like, you know, I do wish that I had the time to just do it fully the natural way, but I, you know, got this opportunity to have the show and I really wanted to look my best, not just for myself, but for my fans too. I'm like, you know, I didn't want to be like this like half-ass Chanel, you know what I mean? I was like, let me get back on my grind and give them this pretty person they've been looking at, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's part of the pressure and that's why I think I'm surprised at how much you share in your show. It is a lot of information. Even talking about you and Dom, your boyfriend, getting together and how quick it all happened when you found out you were pregnant.
Yeah.
Okay, wait, so how long? Tell us this.
It was, I'm like not even for sure on the exact timeline. It was very short though. We were dating for just a matter of months and we were literally together like every single day though.
Right.
It was like once we started hanging out, we were just like every day. Like, what are you doing today? What are you doing today? Okay, come over or I'll come over there. And so we just kind of were inseparable from the moment we started hanging out. But yeah, you know, I'm a Virgo. He's a Virgo. We're very like perfectionist. Like we always had these ideas of like you get married first, then you have the kids,
right?
And so it all kind of happened like not the way we really planned, you know, for our life. But I believe in fate, and I believe that our baby was such a blessing, and I know he does too.
Bowie.
So yes, Bowie. She's the cutest
She's
thing.
so cute.
Thank you. And oh my gosh, she's already grown so much since the show.
That's
like I can't wait for people to see like how she is now. She really has become like she's the star.
Yeah.
She's the star of the house. She runs the house. She runs me and Dom. Like I thought I could be a little bit of a diva at times. I'm like, no, this girl, she's ready to be Beyonce.
I love it. She's so cute.
Thank
I love, like, there was a scene where she was, like, trying to eat your hand off, which was cute. But I think one of the moments for me is watching you cry and really have a breakdown about, you know, the struggles of being a mother and wanting to continue your career and the guilt that you have to carry when you have to go and work. That was hard. And maybe because that, you know, resonates so much with me, it doesn't get easier.
No, it doesn't. And even like right now, you know, last night I was so sad leaving her and my flight got delayed and then I was like, oh, this is actually good. Now I can put her to bed and it's less time away. Like I'm like, okay, that's less of like a day away from mommy. So she'll wake up and I'll be gone, which makes me so sad to think about. But at least I can put her to bed tonight, you know? But yeah, it's hard. I want to be with her 24/7 and I know that I mean, let's be real though. This economy we're living in, who the heck can just stay home these days? We all have to work.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
You gotta work.
So that's what it is. I'm just like, I gotta work and do what I have to do for her and my family.
What's your biggest fear now that you're a mom?
Oh, my biggest fear is actually, like not doing something right, you know? Like I just want to make sure I raise a good kid who is a loving kid, who treats other kids good. That is my biggest fear is like, she's a little sassy. I already see like I was not like that. I was like the sweetest little kid. I was like such a little like nerd. Like I was like such a softie, and she's a lot more sassy, a lot more tough. I'm like, okay, she might be the kid who gets in fights at school. You know what I mean? And so that's my biggest fear is like, oh my gosh, I have to do everything in my power to make sure my little girl is like a good girl, that she's nice to other children,
That's
you know,
right.
and shares and everything. I can already see she doesn't like to share that much. So like, that's like the biggest fear is like making sure you do everything right to make a really well-rounded kid, you know?
I don't know if you follow any of the Instagram pages or if it pops up on your algorithm, but they're always talking about, oh, you don't have to make your kids share, right? It's okay. You should foster an environment for your kids to do what they want to do.
No, I think that's weird.
And I don't know what the answer is, but it's like you see so many different styles, and I'm just like, I don't know. I'm trying gentle parenting.
Yeah.
What are you guys trying to do?
That's basically how we are. It's
Okay.
like, you know, for example, she'll throw like this little tantrum, and some people would be like, that's a no, or like,
Right.
and we literally like laugh.
Oh,
We'll like laugh and like walk away, and then she just stops. Because I think she realizes, wait, nobody's paying attention. Nobody's coming to grab me. And so we're like, okay, throw your little tantrum. And we just kind of laugh, walk away. And, you know, we're very, like, we don't, like, ever yell. Both of us are so chill. We're not, like, yellers. There's been a couple times where I should be yelling. I mean, she just colored all over my wall with a red and a green crayon. So I got to go home and clean that up. But, like, we don't yell. We're just, like, we just show her, like, no, this is the right thing you do. Like when she colored on the wall, I immediately went and got the coloring book and the paper, and I said, no, look, we color here.
Okay.
This is where we color. Instead of saying no about what they're doing bad, it's always about like just showing them what they should be doing instead, you know?
Yeah, for sure. So how do you feel like having this show on MTV, right? You're in a relationship.
Yeah.
You have a baby. I'm going to be honest, that's a lot of pressure.
It is.
And there's always been talk about relationships being cursed once they do a reality show.
I don't want to even talk about it.
I know,
Like, I
I
don't want
know.
to jinx it.
Are you worried?
You know, Dom has such a good head on his shoulders that I think that if I were to do this with any man, like he's the right one. God willing, like everything goes great. He's a really good guy, and I don't think that there's like anything that this show could really like do to hurt us. I don't know. I mean, we'll see where it goes. It's really following our real life. So like right now things are great. You know what I mean? I can't predict the future. I don't know what could change, you know? But I do feel like, yeah, I don't know.
The pressure is on, man. I get it.
It's definitely something you hear about. Like you know,
yeah.
everybody's like, oh, it's like the Kardashian curse or something, like all the relationships they show on TV like don't work out or whatever. And I'm like, I don't think it's necessarily being on a reality show. I think it's like just all of the stuff that comes with it. All the people get way busier. Then they start having these crazy lifestyles where it's like, even now I'm getting busier now that my show's out. I'm out here doing press. Then the couples start leaving each other more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's necessarily the show. I think it's everything that kind of comes with it and how you manage all of that stuff. And I think we're doing an okay job, you know?
And here's the thing, you both met basically through work. He was modeling.
Yep.
That's how you knew him.
I was in Miami for like a gig or something. We first initially met in Miami, actually. That's how we met. And then we reconnected through work again.
Right, because you guys were in a video together.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's through work all of this is happening. So I think in a way there's some type of expectation of career, right?
Yeah.
And that being kind of part of the anchor of your guys' foundation. But, you know, it's hard. So you as an executive producer as well, which makes me happy because you're not just starring on this show, which is on MTV, which we love, of course, but you're also an executive producer. Was that important for you before signing off on being on this reality show?
Yes, that was like a must in my contract with signing this deal with MTV Paramount. I wanted to create my own thing. I have all this content I've been making for years on my YouTube and all my social media pages. I basically have like my own reality show. If you go look at all of my YouTube videos from all the behind the scenes, from all the vlogs, and I've created some really great content on my own. I'm always directing my own music videos. I'm just a creative, and I have so many creative ideas. I literally told them, I was like, I know what you guys need. Don't worry.
Right.
You're gonna naturally get the drama. But like, I need to be able to have a little bit of creative control of the way that I'm seen to the public. You know, it's been a long time on Ridiculousness. They've only got to see one side of me. And so I'm like,
for 30 seasons, might we add. 30 seasons. 30 people.
Yeah, it's a long time, but it's a long time of only seeing this one little piece of me. So I'm like, I want to make sure that I can show me as a whole and every little side of me that people haven't got to see. And I thought that if I had a hand in executive producing the show, like that's the only way I'm going to really fully show all of me, you know?
For sure. It was big news that you left. I remember seeing it and I was so surprised. It's also a reminder that I'm not in the know at all, right? It's because it's like, you're like, oh, I got friends at MTV. I love the MTV family. And then you're like, oh, I don't know anything that's going on. I was really surprised because I'm sure that paycheck was nice, but you're also working with your friends.
Yeah, great paycheck, fun job, but
consistent.
Yes,
the checks are cashing.
Love it. Definitely loved it. But I think this was just the natural evolution for me.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's funny because I made a million trailers over the years. I was trying to get my own reality show since I was like 23 or something. And nobody was biting back then. And
why? Why do you think that is?
You know, I don't really know. I maybe it's because, I don't know, maybe like I'm more interesting as a mom or something. I don't know what it is. The funniest thing is my career was way more popping then. I'm like, I should have had a reality show when I was opening for Cardi B and Lil Wayne and doing all these crazy gigs, cross-country tours. You know, I've done a lot of crazy stuff in my music career that like nobody's got to see. And so it's like this was just kind of like the next step. It's like we got to show them what I have been doing outside of sitting on a couch for all these years. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. But I think for a lot of us, again, who've been in the game for a very long time, we know that you make music first.
Thanks.
So seeing you with Rob Dyrdek, that was later, right? Like that wasn't. I remember this very clear because it was just like I remember you made music, boom. Then it was like, oh, now she's on a show. And then this is coming after of you having your own reality show.
I love that you're saying this, by the way, because some people do know me first for music. Most know me first for TV, but I love that you're saying this. It makes me happy.
You know what it is? I think it's generation.
Yeah.
And you know what? So I was doing some research, and I think if you go on Reddit and different threads, I think it's depending on the generation of when somebody was introduced to you. You're lucky to be able to say that.
Yeah.
A lot of people can't say that they've been able to explore different parts of their creativity. You've been able to do music. You've been able to be on the road. You've been able to work with some of the greats.
Yeah.
Already.
Yeah.
Then you go and you work with Rob Dyrdek, and you're part of such a successful show. And now you're creating your own reality show.
Yeah.
Do you still feel like you're trying to prove yourself as an artist?
I'm definitely trying to prove myself as an artist. I just think it's an interesting thing when you come from like reality TV, which it's weird. I was a co-host. Like it's not like it was a show showing my whole life. So, but when you come from TV to doing music, people don't tend to take you as seriously as the other way around. So it's funny, like Ludacris, we even talked, me and Ludacris talked about this on an episode of Fear Factor, and Ludacris was like, yeah, he's like, I feel you, Chanel. He's like, I used to be a radio host. And he goes, and everybody told me that I couldn't be a rapper. And he goes, and now look at me, 10 million sold.
Absolutely.
And he was like, you know, he was like, sometimes you just got to keep going because people will think of you as just this one thing, but you're really meant to be something else, you know?
Yeah.
And that's how I feel. I feel like deep down feel like the thing that I should be known for most is my music. I mean, people recognize my voice more than my damn face. So I'm like, why is my music not more known? You know what I mean?
But you did take a break from making music for a bit, right? Especially when you got pregnant and you decided to slow things down. Now, when you were working on the show with Rob, were you making music during that time? Because it felt like you were so committed to TV world.
Yeah, no, the whole time I was doing Ridiculousness, I was always making music. I would always be in the studio. It's funny, over the years I learned don't go to the studio the night before filming because you're going to look tired the next day. So I started to have to really, balance it out so that I could like not look like dead. But I've been making music nonstop consistently. Like I have a studio in my house. That's my hobby. It's like even if I like didn't do this for a living. Like if I was working at a restaurant, I would still come home and make songs. That's what I love to do, I did take a long break. I had a high-risk pregnancy. When I first got pregnant, I was like, oh, it's cool. I'm gonna be like Cardi B, just like popping like in cute sexy outfits with my belly out. And then they told me, no, it's a high-risk pregnancy. Like I have like a weird uterus or something. It's shaped odd. So they were like, after 5 months, you can't be, doing a lot. You're gonna have to be more chill.
Wow.
And at about 5 months, I was getting huge because I also have no torso. So my stomach was like out to here. I could not breathe. Oof. I tried to record in the studio a couple times and I was like, yo, I have no breath. And even my engineer, Jeff, he was like, you are pregnant, Chanel.
Yeah.
He's like, maybe you should take a break. And then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna just take a break for a while and just relax. And that's also why I think I have a pretty chill baby. I was very relaxed for my whole pregnancy. The only work I was really doing mainly was Ridiculousness. And I did like 2 gigs while I was still like 3 or 4 months pregnant. And then I chilled the rest of the time.
Now, in 2020, you came out with your debut album.
Yeah. Well, I had 2 mixtapes I dropped back in the day that were basically like albums.
Right.
So I think of it like I already dropped 3 albums, but it's the first official album.
First official album, but part of many projects that you've released at this point. As an artist, I feel like all artists are sensitive about their work.
Yeah.
Now it's 2020, right? Was this during the pandemic? Were we on the brink of it? At what point was all this happening?
So the album had already been basically done. Like I was finishing it at the beginning of 2020. And then I remember the pandemic happened.
Yes.
And what's funny is I had made a song called No Plans. And then everybody was stuck at home. And I said, hold up. I got the perfect song.
Right.
We're dropping No Plans. And I was like, this will be the first single for the album. And then it occurred to me because I follow a ton of artists I look up to. I'm like not one of those people that's like, let me follow only 20 people to look cool. I follow everybody. And so I saw a bunch of artists were like kind of stuck not being able to release albums. They're like, so sorry. Like there's holdups with the label at this time. And I was like, wait a minute. I'm independent. I need to strike while it's hot, while I don't have as much competition,
Yeah.
And yeah, it was interesting though, because as an independent artist, it probably wasn't the best year to drop an album because there was no gigs, no touring.
Right.
So I'm investing a ton of money into my music, into my album, and I normally make all my money back through my gigs. So 2020 was a rough year as an independent artist. I had to invest into the album, still was trying to, put out dope visuals, especially because everybody was at home.
Right.
So I was like, let me drop these visuals while everybody's sitting at home watching. And then I had no gigs to make the money back. So it was kind of rough.
It was a hard lesson learned.
Yes.
It for sure. But I love that. I want to stay right there because I think it's important people know that you are an independent artist.
Yeah.
And you are investing your own money into your work.
Yeah.
So you're connected to it on a whole different level. Mm-hmm. How personal do you take people's criticism or feedback when you do put so much of your heart and soul, time, money, and resources into something you love and you share it, and then you go on a Reddit thread and they're going at you? Yeah.
I've learned, like, it's like, obviously if it's somebody that's like really well respected in the music industry and they're like, and they maybe have a bad opinion, then I'll like really like, okay, let me take notice of what they're saying and listen. But like, I can't just like take like hate from like random people online seriously. I've had people like will.i.am tell me like, will.i.am used to call me Little Fergie. Like, he asked me to come. He was like, hey, can you come fill in and sing with us at this charity thing I'm doing? Like, one time, like, I've had legends, like, tell me, like, keep going. Like, you're talented. Like, you got this. And when you have people that, like, are legends who have made 1 million hit songs, toured the whole freaking, like, world, telling you to keep going, it's hard to take anybody's hate seriously who's just, like, somebody,
that you don't know.
That I don't know. Exactly.
And who knows if that's even them, really, behind their keyboard, right?
Yeah.
They could be acting like somebody else.
Yep.
It's such an interesting time when you came out and you put out music. Is so different now with social media. Just so much has changed. Like, where I remember when you were creating and putting out music early on in your career, you're going from city to city meeting humans, right? Like, there's actual interaction with fans.
Yep.
And now I don't know. Do you feel like that's impacted you when you make music, or I guess your connection with fans?
Yeah, definitely. I think everything changed a lot after the pandemic. I think things just became more at home, doing stuff on social. How do we entertain people from our living room without having to go somewhere or something? And that kind of stuck. Obviously people are back outside. Everybody's going to festivals again. But in a weird way, it still has, like, there's not as much. Like, I do a lot of smaller venues, club gigs as an independent artist. Those gigs died down because not as many people are going to clubs now. Not as many people are going to the smaller venues or whatever. So, you know, a lot of things have changed. But I think it's all about, like, as an artist, you got to keep up with the times. Like, there was a time when I was like, I'm not making a TikTok. I'm a real artist. I make music. I don't want to waste my time making TikToks. And I had somebody who I was working with at my old distro label low-key yell at me, and she's like, you need to listen. She was like, everybody's on TikTok. And she's like, if you don't make a TikTok, you're going to get left behind. And I was like, oh. I was like, all right, let me get on TikTok. And the next thing you know, I'm like every day, like, ooh, what can I do today on TikTok? Like doing the dances. I'm like, ooh, let me show like my workout. Next thing you know, I was like all into TikTok. So I'm like, you just have to stay doing what you need to do, like to stay with the times and stay relevant, you know?
Yeah. Okay, so as an independent artist, break this timeline down. For many of us, I've been in broadcasting for close to 20 years. Yeah. So again, not to harp on it, I know you as an artist.
Thank you.
So
that makes me so happy.
Yeah, no, for sure. I remember you being signed to Lil Wayne.
Yeah.
That's how I know you. So tell me about getting signed to Wayne and that timeline from then to becoming an independent artist. Take us back a little bit for someone who's never known that side of you. They only know you from TV land, and they're like, wait, you have a whole catalog as an artist?
Yeah, and I do have a big catalog. I just want to put it out there. I got 87 songs out. I watched a couple biopics recently that those people didn't even have that many songs out. And I'm like, what? They got a movie about them, and I've made more songs. Like, I've put out a lot of songs over a long time, and the story with Wayne and Young Money, it's a very long story. It was a lot of complications. You know, people had heard, like, even Wayne was having a hard time for a while putting his album out. It was like some Cash Money, Young Money stuff going on, like business behind the scenes. But I will say this, that Wayne giving me a cosign was like one of the greatest things to ever happen to my career. I actually have a gig coming up, opening for Wayne in Illinois.
What?
I don't know if anybody's going to make it to Illinois who's listening in New York, but yeah, on August 14th. And I've opened for him before years ago, but I'm really excited to like do it again. So
wait, hold on. That in itself is a question, but go on with this.
Yeah, so, you know, it's been a really long journey, and I do feel like for a while I was like, okay, I need to make this happen with this label situation, but I learned as an independent artist, there is so much creative freedom. And I really like my creative freedom.
Right.
Going back to why I was like, I need to be executive producer, because I'm like, I gotta have my creative input on like everything I do. Like, I'm too much of a creative to just sit back and like let like things be done. And that's what happens sometimes with labels, you know, like sometimes they start being like, you should do this type of song or da-da-da, and it's like, hold up, like I just want to be an artist and be myself. And I think that you know, it was great coming from Wayne and Young Money.
Yes. So you were signing Young Money, or was it Cash Money?
Young Money.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you were part of Young Money.
Yeah.
Wow. That's big, man.
Yeah, it was a time. It was a time was had.
A time was had.
Yeah. Shout out to Wayne. Like I love him, seriously.
So can you paint the picture of what was happening during this time? Because I don't think us saying, oh, that was a time, that people understand the superstars that are in the works. Like, tell us what is happening during this monumental time.
No, let me tell you, like, that's why I'm like, I don't know why MTV waited so long to give me a show. I'm like, if they
that would have been a great time.
Dude, back then, I'm like, I'll never forget. Like, I missed my cousin's wedding because I was in Miami to meet Wayne for the first time, like for my initial meeting about like playing him my music and everything. And he like ended up, it was so funny because I'm meeting him in Miami, but he ended up staying, I guess, in LA for like an extra day. And I'm like, I could have just stayed home in LA to meet him.
Right.
And so I had to get the meeting, and I'm like, I text my cousin, like, I'm not gonna make it. I felt so bad, like, and I feel like she still hasn't like got over it. It's so annoying.
Sucks.
But like,
Sucks. Yeah.
that's how important it was. I was like, this is such a big moment. My dog's name is Wheezy. He's still alive too. Shout out to my dog Wheezy.
Oh,
He's 15, still kicking. But like, that dog's 15. I had him. I got him a couple years before I even knew I was gonna meet Wayne. Like, I was a genuine Wayne Young Money fan, and it was crazy how just like things were coming together, and there was so much craziness at the time. Like, I remember I was filming Ridiculousness, and then I'd leave for the weekend and go to South by Southwest and be doing gigs with Young Money, and then come back, film Ridiculousness, and then I go and I'm like doing tour stops in between. Like, it was a crazy time, and it's funny now that the world's getting to see me as a mom before that. But like I think that God works in mysterious ways.
Right.
I was also a little crazy back then. I'm like, maybe the more refined, mature Chanel is who was meant to have her show. You know what I mean?
I loved it. Even on your show, there was flashbacks of you pre-baby.
Yeah.
And you getting stuck in the elevator. And I mean, life is crazy. That's just part of it, right? And so I do think it's been nice to see your evolution, but I also think people need to be reminded of, the time that you were really on the music scene and who you're surrounded by.
Yeah.
And when we say Young Money now, it's like, of course we know Young Money, like all this, but at that time, they're running the game.
I know.
Do you know what I mean? And you're there, you're part of this, and that's got to be, I don't know, a lot of pressure, right?
So much pressure. Like, I remember just being like, oh my gosh, like, I got to do everything right. Like, don't, play your part. You know what I mean? Like, don't say or do anything stupid that has them looking at you like, oh God, this girl's a nerd.
Yeah.
Which I am. I'm a nerd at heart. I'm like a cool nerd. I'm half nerd, half cool.
I love it.
But yeah, it was a great time, and I can't give too much away. Maybe you'll see Wayne on the TV show.
And that's what I wanted to know. How much of your really rich history are you going to show, right? Because I do, me selfishly, I want people to know the work that you've done.
Oh, yeah.
And I think people who are enjoying your journey as a mom and being on TV shows, I think it's amazing to show how, I don't know, dynamic you are.
Thank you. Yeah, we're definitely putting in a lot of footage from the past. Like,
I think that's important.
To give a full, a full spectrum and like help the people understand, like, wait, why am I watching a show about a girl who's an artist that I had no idea was an artist? And it's like, hold on, let's take it back for a second and show you what all I've done.
Yeah.
And thank God I filmed so much throughout my career. It's almost like I knew, like, I was going to have a documentary or something one day. I was like, film this, capture everything. And we're putting so much of that, even down to, which I got it to them a little late. That was my dad's fault. But so you won't see it in this first season really, but I got them a ton of kid footage.
Oh my goodness.
So much kid footage. And so we're going to start sprinkling that in as the show goes on, just so people can really see. Like, it's funny too, all the kid footage I have, my dad took of me here in New York City because my dad lives in New York.
How funny.
All of my kid footage is me in New York City as a kid, yeah.
Isn't it interesting how full circles happen all the time?
I'm staying in Times Square right now, and it's funny. My parents, like, met and, like, I think hooked up at, like, where the ball drops at the top. Yes. My dad was DJing, and, like, that's, like, essentially, like, what led to me being here.
Wait, your dad was DJing?
Yeah, my dad's a DJ.
See, this is why we need to know.
Yeah, he was like a club DJ here in New York City for a long time. And the funniest thing, like I just said this the other day, I did an interview with DJ Who Kid one time, talked to him about it. We did another interview years later, and he's like, oh yeah, I know your dad. And I'm like, wait, you never told me that. He's like, yeah, I know your dad from back in the day, like DJ'd in the clubs. And I'm like, that's so funny, but why did you wait till now to bring that up?
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Music's been around you.
Oh yeah, no, I was like in the clubs, like, footage I have, I was in the DJ booth with my dad when I was like 8 years old. And I'm like, Dad, where were you working that they let me like come in? These days, that would never happen. You know what I mean?
This was years and decades ago, people.
Yeah.
This was, times were different then, for sure. I want to go back timeline. When did you sign to Wayne, and then when did you become an independent artist?
It's a really complicated story.
Oh gosh.
It's too I need to write like a book about my life, but I'm trying to remember the years. Like Young Money,
what years are you part of Young Money, I guess? That
like
would be
2014, because I remember they were calling that the year of Miley, and I was like, hold up, what is 2015 going to be my year?
Okay, so we're looking back, and you feel like, okay, 2014.
Yeah, I actually want to be...
2013?
No, 2014... 2013, I was coming up with Young Money, but actually in 2014, I won a BET award with Young Money. They won Best Group, and I was on that album, Rise of an Empire.
Oh my gosh.
So I have a BET award, like, that's like, I literally pass by it in my house every day, like, thank you, God.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty cool to just like see Young Money, like, on the thing, yeah.
So that's 2014. To fast forward, when did you become an independent artist? That you decided
in about like 2016, I would say.
And what was the biggest lesson that you learned during this transition?
Oh man, I think, and shout out to everybody I've ever worked with. I've had a lot of amazing people work with me and really work their butts off. But I do think that I have maybe been in positions where I didn't 100% have like the best representation at times. And I'm appreciative for everything everybody's done working for me. But I do think that like I'm one of these people, and I learned this from Meta World Peace, actually. He started a management company because he felt like as an athlete when he was younger, he never had like the best representation and stuff. And that can be a big part in your career.
Oh, that can make or break you.
Literally. And so I can relate to him in that sense where I feel like I never got this like mega big manager or like, you know what I mean? I never came up on that stuff. I don't know how. Actually, I heard a couple conflicts of interest, which means people are hating on me, is why some people couldn't represent me. So I never came up on some like big powerhouse group of people to like put me on. And I think that that's something I was lacking in that transitional process from Young Money going into being an independent artist. So, you know, it's been a roller coaster, my music career, but that's why I'm like so excited that I have this show now and get to show people like what I'm doing and what I'm really about, you know?
I want to ask you, what do you think was different with your TV career? Because it took off in a different way, right? And now your show on MTV, right? Which we're all loving, by the way.
Thank you.
But what do you think, what was the secret sauce in that versus music? Because hearing you say this, I'm wondering, how did it not cross over?
I don't know. It's hard. I will say that sometimes the TV fan base of the show you're on might be a different fan base than the music you're trying to make.
Sure.
Which I think was maybe a little bit of my situation, you know. Like, I grew up in LA. It's a very diverse city. Like, for me, like, I never thought, you know, being a little white girl, like, I was like, oh, I could rap. Eminem does it. Why can't I? You know what I mean? Like, I never thought of, like, that as a thing. And you actually realize that in small towns in America, which we all are becoming more aware of because of social media, that there's still like racism still exists and stuff. And some people like don't understand, like, it's actually more white people, like more white people. They're like, why are you a little white girl trying to rap? And da-da-da-da. And those are a lot of the Ridiculousness fan base.
Interesting.
Yeah, so we have a very broad fan base. And I love all of our fans. They're amazing. But I think maybe not all of the Ridiculousness fans are hip-hop fans. I do hip-hop. I rap. And so that's also why I'm transitioning more into doing like a little bit more pop, you know, blending the genres a little bit more because I do have such a broad TV fan base. That's why I'm trying to make my music a little bit more broad now so that all of the fans can kind of feel what I'm doing, you know?
Right.
And I think that's just where I kind of made a little bit of a maybe mistake, but it's like I love hip hop. That's what I love. My dad was a hip hop DJ. I grew up doing hip hop dance. It was a natural thing for me, you know? But I do think that maybe my TV fan base wasn't as tapped into hip hop culture and they didn't understand as much.
That is so interesting. You opening up for Wayne, because I want to go back to this. This isn't going to be your first time doing this.
This is my second time, yeah.
Okay, what did you learn the first time you opened up for Wayne?
Oh my gosh, the first time I barely remember. I'm one of those people that like, it's like, if it's kind of a nervous moment, like, it's almost like I become a blur. Like, I remember I performed and then I like literally got off stage and I was like, how did I do? And everybody's like, you did amazing, did it? I'm like, I don't remember what just happened. Like, it's almost like I black out, you know? Because it's Wayne, you know.
It's Wayne.
He's performing for a massive crowd and you get to perform in front of all of his fans, you know? So it's really dope. And his fan base is amazing. Like, that's what is so great about performing, opening for him is like, he doesn't have one of these crowds that are dead. Like, they really turn up and show love. And that's it's actually rare these days too. Some people are just like kind of lazy, you know?
Well, you know what it is? Social media changed the game, right? Because now they're used to everybody right at their fingertips.
Yep.
So when I see you, it's like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Versus before not having all this interaction, like you want to go see your favorite artist. You're excited to see them because you don't have access to them every single second.
Yeah.
Okay, so now what do you hope you can achieve when you open up for Wayne?
This time around, I'm excited to perform new music. I'm performing more singing songs. I'm gonna have a guitar player with me. It's gonna be like a really sick show. I'm just really excited to perform like more of my new music and my new sound. And it's about to be a really big show. I heard they already sold like over 13,000 tickets or something. It's like some big, huge, massive fair in Illinois. And yeah, I'm just really excited to perform in front of that many people, all this new music.
Okay, wait. So is Wayne, do you know the back end? Like, is he asking for you to open up? Does he know that? You know?
I don't even know if he knows.
Oh my gosh, this is this is even more exciting at this point.
Yeah, I work with a couple booking agents who also happen to work with Wayne. So that's kind of how this like came about.
Is cool.
And you know, we're definitely gonna film it. I don't know if it'll end up in the show. We don't know yet.
We'll see. We'll see the clearances.
Yeah.
Wait, okay, so what's gonna be the first thing you say to Wayne? And when, you know, first off, when was the last time you and Wayne have spoken?
Oh my gosh, we spoke. The last time we spoke was when I was like, "Hey Wayne, can we clear this little scene of you for my show?" So when I see him, the first thing I'm gonna say is thank you, because that meant a lot to me. That, you know, he makes a little cameo in the show.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
One word to describe Wayne.
Unique. He is a unique person. He's like in his own world. He's just such an artist, such a creative genius. You know, one time I was at the studio with him, and I remember Wayne, I was like, "Oh, we're about to leave. I'm about to get an Uber." And he goes, "What's an Uber?" I was like, "What do you mean you don't know what an Uber is?" And I'm like, this man is just so busy in his world. He probably just walks outside and the car's waiting at all times. You know what I mean? He was like, "What's an Uber?" I was like, "No, he does not know what Uber is. He's really in his own bubble."
I love it even more.
Yeah.
It's so great.
He's the best.
Oh my goodness. Okay, tell me about your song Cool Off.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, we're going through a heat wave like everywhere right now. It's cloudy outside and it's still hot. So if you're trying to cool off, turn on Cool Off. The song is such a summer song. It's just a good vibes summer song. I say in the beginning, like, I don't want no drama. Like, I'm not trying to hear the tea. It's like a really, like, I don't want drama. I'm trying to chill, just kick back with my friends, jump in the pool. That's the vibes, you know?
Yeah. But it's funny because there's drama on your reality show.
Just a little. It's not, we don't have like crazy, like friend drama. Like where like the friends are like fighting and stuff like that. There is some deep real life stuff that happens.
Yeah.
You're gonna see, you've already learned a little bit. My friends have a very serious storyline in the show, and I'm just so grateful for them being so like raw and real with and open about what they were going through. I had told my friends, I was like, listen, we don't have to show this. You know, like, these are my best friends. They had a adorable little baby boy, Bryson, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna get emotional. My bad.
No, it's okay.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
It was such a serious situation that when there's stuff like that going on in people's lives, there's no need for any extra drama.
Yeah.
And
you guys are being very supportive, you and Dom, to your friends, and, you know, trying to be there for them. And when we're talking about a baby,
oh my gosh, yeah, they are like our best friends. And Ghost he's like my brother. I actually was friends with Ghost first. He was my video guy for years, and then he started dating Tracy, and she's just like the sweetest thing in the world. She's a school teacher, a photographer, like nicest girl. And so then naturally she became like one of my best friends too. And you know, and so going into the show, we were like, our best friends, you know.
I know.
We're going to have our babies.
I know.
It's so sad. I'm sorry. I don't mean to get so emotional, but I really do think that their story is going to inspire a lot of people.
Can you tell us, without getting into the next episodes, you know, what we see on episode 1 that already gets us very emotional about their storyline?
You know, all I can say is you're going to see their strength so much, because they went through something really hard. And I'm just so grateful for them, like, being my friends and being there for me at a time when everybody should have just only been, like, it's like they're going through so much and they're still there for me, you know? Yeah. And that's why they're such amazing people, and I just can't wait for the world to get to know more of them too. But yeah, you know, and that's how my friend group is too. We're a really like solid friend group. There's not like crazy catty drama. I will say a couple of crazy things happened recently, and I was like, where are the cameras now?
Yeah.
But aside from that, for the most part, we're a really fun group of friends who are just, you know, we're all real supportive of each other.
Is your DJ going to keep on being late to sound check?
Oh my gosh.
I need to know, because she had me stressed. Not during sound check, and not that nobody knows if she's landed or she's driving to the venue.
This is like how it is all the time, though, and I love Kitty. So let me tell you. So she's a big DJ in Vegas. She does all her own gigs, but she's always trying to show out for me and still be my tour DJ. Yeah. So she'll be like, she has her own gigs in Vegas, and so sometimes she's like ending a gig at like 4 or 5 a.m. and like has to figure out just what flight she can get on to get to my gig in time. And so like it sucks that like you see it's like Kitty showed up late, but it's like, yo, Kitty's a G for like making it to my gig period after she just freaking DJ'd till 5 a.m. Yeah. She's a boss. She's a hard worker, go-getter. She's now doing real estate too. I was like, girl, how are you DJing and doing real estate? But yeah, she's the best. She's I love her because I love that, just like how you mentioned knowing me for music first.
That's
Kitty didn't even know I was on TV. She's such a music head, so immersed in the music and her craft. She had discovered my music on Hot New Hip Hop online, sent an email to my booking email and was like, hey, are you looking for a tour DJ? And this was so many years ago. She lives in Vegas, and I happened to have a gig at the Palms Casino like 2 weeks after she emailed me. And I said, yo, say less. I got a gig in 2 weeks. I actually needed a DJ.
So good.
And if I showed you pictures from the first night we hung out, it's like it looks like we've been best friends for 10 years. Like we were meant to be besties. Like that's my girl. I love her so much. And she's so supportive, such a talented DJ. Like, no disrespect to any guy DJs, but she be making some of these guys look like they just started yesterday.
What does your dad think about her skills?
He loves her. He thinks she's such a great DJ. I will say, though, my dad was DJing back in the day when he had to, like, sweat to hurry up and change a record. So he's a little... He has his opinions on DJs these days. He's like, all they have to do is, he's like, the technology.
It's Serato.
Yeah, he's like, the technology helps the mix. He goes, I had to use my brain and like have a musical that my dad, he'll literally, will be in like a restaurant, a song comes on and he starts being like, do, 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 do. Yeah. And he starts like mixing another song into it. And I'm like, Dad, not right now. We're trying to eat. Like,
please don't DJ right now in your head, Dad. Please don't.
Like he's like such a DJ, So he has love for Kitty and loves how much she supports me. But I'm telling you, he has so many opinions on DJs of this time period.
Oh, I'm sure he does.
He's like, this is such easy work. They're not doing nothing.
No.
I'm like, Dad, you have to have respect. Like times are changing.
What does he think about your music?
So. My dad is a very religious man. He's very protective, he's supportive, and he was a DJ, so, and he knows, like, I'm in hip hop. He has a hard time listening to me, like, say, like, even the slightest curse word. If I look semi-sexy in the video, he can't watch it. It's like, oh my gosh. I'm like, I need to just be, like, making, like, freaking, like, I don't know, like, classical music or something to, like, make him happy.
What does he think about your show? You share a lot on MTV.
Yeah, he said he saw the first episode and he cried. And my dad actually, he does graffiti. He grew up, he's a New Yorker, he's the type of person when they clean the graffiti on the subway, he's like, oh my gosh, they took that art down. And my stepmom's like, it was dirty, Seth. Like, what are you talking about? He made this cute graffiti piece that says the West Coast Hustle, like the same night he watched it, and he sent it to me and my friends and was like, I made this for you guys. Like, the show inspired me.
And your mom's friend helps you with Bowie on the show.
Yes, yeah. My mom actually, when we were doing the show, was still, she was living in Vegas. And so, which she realized soon, like, what am I doing? I want to be closer to my granddaughter.
That's right.
And so she actually moved back. So now she's helping us a lot. But still, her best friend, Donna, is, like, also our babysitter. And what's crazy, Donna is the person who introduced my mom and dad here in New York City.
Stop it.
Yes. And I'm like, I love that Donna introduced my mom and dad. Like, I literally wouldn't be alive without this woman. And now she's babysitting my daughter.
Oh my gosh.
It's really,
my heart is so happy.
Right? Like,
this.
Isn't that so full circle and like meant to be type thing?
How important is it to have the right team around you to help you with your daughter? Like, how important is that? I did not realize it until I had a kid and trying to balance work. You need that support system.
Oh, yeah. No, my mom's great. Donna's great. That's really our main source of help. We've interviewed a couple, like, nannies, but I just...
Oh, no. My anxiety is just...
I feel like I need, like a personal, close family friend or family member. And now we're actually... So Dom's cousin, Bella, she lives about, like, 2 hours from us, but... She's younger. She's works with kids, and we've been talking about it. I'm like, we need to get Bella out here to help out. and that might be the next step because she'd be the perfect like part-time nanny assistant.
Yeah.
We're kind of looking for somebody like that, but we've been doing this like all on our own with just the help of my mom and Donna.
It's so much work. It's exhausting.
It is.
How did Rob react when he found out you were having a baby?
They were really happy for me. Yeah, Rob actually bought my stroller for me. Shout out to Rob for the Nuna. And actually the high chair too. Shout out to Rob for the high chair.
Oh, that's sweet. That's
so
sweet.
yeah, they were really happy for me. I think that the guys like, they're funny. I was coming out with my belly all out trying to be sexy still, and I think that they were like, Chanel, cover that thing. Like, what are you doing?
It's okay. Just be comfortable.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? I'm showing out today. I don't even care. But yeah, they were supportive.
How did they first react when you said you're going to leave the show?
So that's something I don't really want to talk about, to be completely honest. It's a big life change for me, and it was a really hard situation. Let's just put it like that.
Well, it's 30 seasons.
Yeah.
30. I remember when I was reading up and looking at everything, that's a long time.
It is a long time.
You're spending your whole, I don't want to say your whole life, but a good chunk of your life.
Practically my life. I'm like, dude, I seen people raise kids in the amount of time I was on Ridiculousness, and I'm like, wait, what? I remember you brought your like 3-year-old, and they're like, Chanel, that was season 1.
I know.
My kid's 17 now. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah. And you actually met Rob being his receptionist. Is this true, or am I misreading it? And totally correct me.
It's so long in the past. I was a fake receptionist. I wish I got some acting credit for that. But
I love the hustle.
I was not a real receptionist, no. I was friends with Rob and his group of friends, and I was doing my music thing. I was on my music grind. Mm-hmm. And so he actually needed, like, just for one episode at first on Fantasy Factory, he needed a receptionist because they had like to bring in these like Carl's Jr. people, which out here I think it's Hardee's. They're like different.
Right.
So they were doing like a commercial or something, and so he's like, we need a receptionist to bring the Carl's Jr. people in, and we were thinking maybe you could rap and be like in the Carl's Jr. viral video thing. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, and so I show up the very first day, and this one producer on our show, she was like, are you the rapping receptionist? And I'm like, am I? I don't know. Is that my role? So from day one, like I was just like, okay. And then after I filmed that day, I remember Rob, like they thought I was really funny and like did a good job. And he was like, hey, do you want to do this permanently? And I literally,
oh my goodness.
I said to him, I go, what exactly am I doing permanently? Am I going to be a real receptionist, or am I just faking being a receptionist? And he's like, no, like it's like you're faking, like, Yeah. And so it was really just because there was so many celebrity guests and stuff that came to the Fantasy Factory. It wasn't like they could just pop up and teleport there, like boom, they're here. It was like, okay, we need a segue. Like, who's gonna bring all of these guests in?
Totally makes sense.
And so I was that person.
and then all the success. Then 30 seasons later, what would you say is the best piece of advice that Rob shared with you?
Ooh, I've said this before, which is funny because I still tend to do it. He was like, don't stick your hand in too many cookie jars. Like, find like the 1 or 2 things you really want to focus on and like go all in on that, which I believe is my music and my swimwear line. Like, those are the 2 things I really went all in on. But I'm like, there's so many other little things I want to do. So I'm still kind of sticking my hands in cookie jars. But like, I did for a while really hone in on that advice he gave me. And like, I was like, okay, music, my swimwear line. That's it.
That's it.
And now that I've got both of those things to a better level, now I'm like, okay, now let's dabble in a little bit more.
Yeah. What would you say, not that it's the worst advice, but something he shared with you that actually you did the opposite and it worked out for you, thankfully?
That would be it.
That would be it.
He actually told me, he said a swimwear, I'm going to say, Rob was like, I don't think a swimwear line's a good idea. It's not he's like, it's a seasonal thing. That I was like, you don't know girls these days. And I'm like, girls are buying 10 bikinis for the summer. Like, and not even just for the summer, places where it's warm, like bikinis are like, it used to be like when we were a kid, it's like, I got my 1 bikini for the summer. Now it's like, do you have 10 for your 3-day vacation?
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? And I was like, trust me, bikinis are popping these days. Like,
and it worked for you.
Yes. And I think it did too, because like, my brand, it's like, I'm Chanel West Coast. People think of like the beach. They think of palm trees.
That's
you know,
right.
it just goes very much with who I am. And I also started it because I noticed I would post pictures in bikinis and get way more comments saying, where'd you get that bikini? Than like, an outfit where I was dripping in designer. And I'm like,
interesting.
I was like, I must have some really good bikini taste because everybody always wants to know where I get my bikinis. And so I was like, maybe I need to start my own thing so that way when I'm on vacation and posting in bikinis, I'm promoting something at the same time, you know?
And you benefit from it.
Yes.
And it's really worked out for you.
I mean, I love the fact that we take a lot of business trips for Coasty Swim. Let's put it that way.
I love that. We're going on a business trip to Hawaii.
We gotta go do this photo shoot in Bali. What are you talking about?
We're going to the islands this weekend.
Yeah.
Okay, final 2 questions. Best piece of advice Wayne has given you?
Ooh, Wayne literally from day one was like, ignore the haters, like straight up, like
yeah.
Wayne's a very quiet man. He's a man of few words, but when he says them, they're like impactful. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And yeah, I remember like I was venting at the studio to him a bit, and he's like, "You need to chill, ignore the haters." I feel like he probably was in his head like, "You're sitting here with Lil Wayne. Like, why are you even
relax,
tripping?
breathe?"
Yeah.
And was there anything that he shared with you that you did the opposite of and it benefited you? I don't want to say worst piece of advice, but something that you're like, I'm going to go against the grain and not do that.
No, I haven't had like him say anything like that. But
if he listened to a song from, you're working on your next album, and he was like, I don't like it. Do you value what he says so much that you're going to take it off?
For sure. And it's funny, I sent Wayne a song recently. He didn't end up getting on it, but he loved it. I told him though, I was like, I need to get it was actually Cool Off. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
I was like, I gotta get it out for the summer. And like he's so busy right now. I don't think I was gonna get that feature soon enough. But like when I sent him Cool Off, he was like, love it. Like I think he said, I don't know the exact words, but him just saying he likes the song, I was like, oh my God, like I don't even need the feature. I'm just like, you just saying you like it makes me feel happy and like want to put it out, you know?
Yeah. That relief that you're like,
yes. No, the first time I met him, I was in the studio, in that Miami studio, and he was sitting in like a swivel chair, like up against the boards, and me and my old producer were standing behind him, and we literally played like 12 songs, and he was silent the whole time, and I was so nervous. I'm like, oh my God, he hates it. And like he literally just did this like slow turn at the very end, and he turned around slowly, like smoking, and he's like, yo, that shit was stupid. And I was like, that's good. That means it's good. And like,
that's good.
And like that was like his only comment. And he was like, and then literally he was like, yo, like I got some ideas. Like shook my hand and was like, yo, like you're Young Money, boom. And it was the most nerve-wracking moment of my life. But like, you know, he tends to like all my music. I'm like, I feel like I'm doing right when Wayne seems to not have any like bad critiques, you know?
Oh man, I can only imagine this moment of you holding your breath the entire time.
I was.
All the songs were getting played until he turned around. Yeah. Oh, what an amazing journey. I'm so happy for you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I love the show already, the West Coast Hustle on MTV. And maybe I'm biased because I love MTV and they've been family for such a long time. But I'm really happy that you get to show your life holistically in a way that you feel good about it.
Yeah.
And also where there's cringy moments in it where you're sharing a lot.
Oh my gosh. I'm like, just watching it back, I was like, I can't believe, like, it is funny watching me, like, after the lipo, like, you know, I'm all wrapped up like a babushka. I'm part Russian, so that's why I say that. And I'm like, I literally look like one of my little Russian, like, grannies, like, all wrapped up. And, you know, there's a lot of moments where it's like, and that's what I said before, you know, I went from a show, Ridiculousness, I'm sitting still, looking perfect, right. Dude. It's like, there's not even like, you know what I mean? Like,
it is perfect.
The show is filmed so damn fast. I don't even have time for my makeup to really get messed up. Like, I went from looking perfect to now being 50 pounds overweight, and you're filming me from every single angle. So it was a couple cringe moments watching, but I am working really hard on getting back to where my body was. I think I'm getting real close.
You look great
Thank
as
you.
is. Not that you need my validation, but you know, some of the parts, like just seeing you, like someone can consider the balancing moment of you struggling to be a great mom and an artist. That's part of cringiness, right? Because you feel that pain that someone, at least for me, you feel. Like I struggle with this every day, being a mom and like focus on my career. I go through it.
Yeah.
So those moments are really important, and I'm excited to see what else is going to be on your show.
Thank you.
And I love all of this for you. And I love
thank
that
you so
you are
much.
focused on music again. And it's good to see you. It's good to see you happy,
Thank
smiling,
you.
laughing, of course.
Yes.
But it's good to see you in your bag and doing music and doing a thing that you absolutely love. So congratulations
Thank
on
you,
all
boo.
of this. And
yes. and shout out to you for being a mom who comes and works on the radio.
hey, we're
Like,
trying.
No, this is a hard job, and I don't know if I think people too, like when they hear you on the radio, they think it's like and I'm like, dude, like the being in radio's hard.
Yes, the research, the entertaining, and also wanting to give people something more than just, like mailing it in. Like I actually care to have a conversation.
Yeah.
And so it's been so nice to finally meet you in this capacity just because I've seen your journey as an artist so early on, and to see where you're at today. Congratulations.
Thank
and
you,
I
boo.
hope MTV's already working on the next season,
I
next
hope so
season.
too. I hope so too. We need everybody to tune in Thursdays, 9 p.m. MTV. You can watch the first 3 episodes of the show on MTV.com.
Right.
And if you have, I have to explain this because a lot of people were like, I can't find it on Hulu. If you have the live TV feature on Hulu, you can also watch the show through MTV on Hulu, but you got to have the live TV feature. Which I'm going to just say is like, you might as well get it if you don't have cable.
Get the bundle.
Because it's like you can have Hulu and cable together.
But it's free on the first 3 episodes are free to watch on MTV.com.
Yes, on MTV.com.
For sure. So make sure you check it out, because once you start watching, you get hooked, and then you're in it.
And then you're going to go get cable or get the Hulu package.
Well, we're going to be following along, and any updates, anything you have going on, please just know you could always stop by. I know, your dad's got his New York ties here, but you got ties too.
Thank you.
Please stop by anytime.
I will. Thanks, boo.
Of course.